What's up guys, Doomsday here. Today we're back again. In this video we're going to be playing some Vi in the jungle. So I know Vi isn't too much in the meta, but I definitely do still think that Vi is a pretty solid pick in certain circumstances. And one of my favorite times to pick Vi actually is as a counter to Kha'Zix. I think Vi does really well into Kha'Zix, but the main reason why I picked Vi in this match was actually because of Fizz. And I think in general playing tanks against Fizz, it really negates Fizz's ult because nobody can really burst you down. That's what makes Vi good against Kha'Zix also, is that you're just pretty much immune to burst with like your second ability plus your natural tankiness. You can't really get bursted down. But we're starting off at the red buff, and then we'll look to see where to rotate from there. But on Vi, you can either run Aftershock or Conqueror. Either one works, but for this match, I'm running Aftershock, and I see that the mid lane is getting low, and I'm looking for a gank onto there after I take this camp to see if I can maybe pick up a kill, as Vi has really good ganking in the early game and dishes out so much damage. But I'm pretty sure this isn't warded up because I didn't see Fizz warded up earlier. And now I'm looking for this gank over here. I'm waiting for Diana to get closer, and now I look for the gank. And I charge up my first ability, and notice what I did there. I held it for a second, and there's a very specific reason for that. It's over there. I actually got a little bit frustrated with the Diana, because the Diana didn't even follow up, and that would have been a free kill if they would have. Diana still had flash too, so they easily could have just like flashed and jumped onto Fizz, but that was really just bad follow-up from our laners and bad awareness. Nothing could really be done about that, but there's a very specific reason why I chose to hold my first ability, my first charge it up, and it's because I didn't know what abilities Fizz had up. Over there, actually, Diana is able to pick up the kill now, so we're able to force out the flash and a pretty big health advantage, so it ended up turning into a kill anyways. Just unfortunately, it was not first blood. So now I see this going on down here, and I'm like, this looks like a free kill for me. But when I was going for that gank onto Fizz, something to keep in mind when going for ganks on any kind of jungler is what kind of escapes do the enemy has. So for instance, Fizz has their leap ability where they can leap and be untargetable and everything. And I'm not too familiar with Fizz. I haven't really played Fizz, so I wasn't sure if he unlocked that ability because he was actually only level 2 at the time. So I didn't know if he had his leap ability or not, and it would be very bad if I charged up my first ability, and then at the same time, the Fizz leaped away, and I missed my first ability, because I would lose that damage, I would lose the knock-up and everything. So instead, I waited a second to see if they had it up, then they would have used it right away to try and escape, but clearly they didn't use it, so I knew that they hadn't unlocked it yet. So then I just dove right onto him. That's just something to keep in mind, and we're going to see that throughout this match. I'm always super cautious with that Fizz leap ability, because that can really be a complete game changer. If they could like dodge your ultimate out or dodge your first ability, that can completely change a fight. But now I'm looking on this top side of the map to see if maybe I can get a kill over here. I see Graves is on the bottom side of the map, and that's pretty key because I know he's not in the area. So I look for the ult onto the Jinx. Able to get the ult, but unfortunately they still had their summoners up. The heal got him out, and the Vayne was unfortunately too low and really just doesn't do enough damage at this point in the game. It's a bit hard to dive, but I see that the Graves is still on the bot side of the map actually, so I start to farm up my jungle, but something to keep in mind, and this was a mistake on my part here, but I should have already invaded the Graves' jungle. A really good timer to note is around 2:45, the Raptors, I believe, yeah, the Raptors respawn. If the jungler started the match and went from red buff into these Raptors over here, then these Raptors would respawn at 2:45. And that's just nice to know because I could have realized that Graves was still on that bot side and those Raptors were up, even though I didn't have vision of them or anything, I would know that. So I could have gotten the Raptors too, but instead I just go for the red buff. Able to pick that up. Now I saw Graves was still down on the bot side going for that gank, so I'm able to just take these two, thankfully. But I definitely shouldn't have gone for my Gromp there. That was a bit of a mistake. So now looking to take the Scuttle here and set up for the first dragon. That's about to respawn. Really, I'm just waiting for my ult to get back off cooldown because I don't want to go for a big fight or anything without my ult. Especially at this stage of the game, like ulting a good squishy will almost like guarantee you a kill. So now I saw that their top duo actually reset, and that's the main reason I'm starting this up. And dual laners really need to do a better job of this if you are a dual laner that's watching. Is if you reset at a time like this, like their dual lane is gone and they have no map priority or anything. So we're able to just pick this up. And as you can see, none of them were in position to contest that. So now I see that the Graves chose to just trade for the Herald, which is a fine trade on his part because there's nothing else he could have really done contesting me. So now I rotate down here, and I see this Graves here. Being a bit cautious, get my ult off into the Diana ult, and then the first ability, and able to clean that up. And the main reason why I actually held my first ability there for a while was because I wanted to keep that for an escape tool in case I needed to, because I really didn't have the best vision of people around me, and I didn't want to get caught off guard. So I knew that my teammates would rotate, and I just held it as long as I could, because I knew I wouldn't have really needed it. So you're able to pick up the Herald there, and that's pretty solid. Plus, we had the rotate from our support, which I noticed our support actually cut through mid lane and was heading our way. So, as long as I could stay alive in that case, that definitely would have been a win for the fight, because we just had a numbers advantage. So now I finally have enough for my Trinity Force, and now I'm looking where to gank. And I definitely am looking for that top side. They're pretty overextended and pushing up on that vein. That vein is super low over here, so I know that they're going to keep on pushing up here. And I'm pinging. I need to watch out for the Graves because I don't know where Graves is. So that's something I need to be cautious of here. They actually did have vision of me, but you could just land such a good combo with Vi. And look at that damage. It's so strong. Once you get that Trinity Force power spike, whew, just look at that. So, able to pick up 2 kills there. That's a really good combo you could do with your first ability plus your flash. And there is the Graves. And that's something I was being a bit careful of. And that's why I actually backed off there instead of going for that turret, because I had no idea where Graves was. So it's nice to just ping it out and remind your teammates that if he's missing, he could be anywhere. And that's something to consider if you're going for a gank, is if the enemy jungler is in the area, then they can actually go for a counter gank. So that's definitely something to be careful of. But your first ability, once you get your Trinity Force, is so strong. And you just deal so much burst damage against Squishes, as you could see there. So now, taking my blue. And I'm looking for this Graves. I know he's farming his red side jungle. And I'm just keeping an eye out. The Yasuo rotates up from the bot lane, actually. I actually did not notice that, but I'm able to pick up the kill there. I could definitely 1v1 a Yasuo, but you can see Graves just coming out from his red side. And unfortunately, I lost sight of him. Now trying to turn onto him a bit. Able to pick up that there. But we did lose the top turret there, and that's a bit unfortunate. But notice over here now, I decided not to engage. I see that they're kind of all collapsing, and I realized I probably didn't have enough health or damage to even kill the Fizz. So that's one reason why I like to hold my first ability as long as I can. Like, if I don't need to use it, I'm not going to, because it can provide a huge escape like that. So now the Jax is, I don't know what he's doing, but he's about to have to 1v4 to get out of there. Let's see if he could do it. He cannot. Actually, I think that's a 1v5. All 5 of them are on this side of the map. But I think that's something that I should have done better this match was maybe looking for first turret. I don't know if we already had first turret earlier, but I maybe could have looked to get that first tier top turret. It looks like we're going to get it anyways, but that's something to definitely pay attention to as a jungler, especially after the first dragon is gone. That's about the area when people are looking for first turrets and the first turret's about to go down. And it's 1,000 gold for taking first turret split among your team. So it's a lot of gold. And now, I see all these people here. I'm just poking them and running away. I'm just looking to deal some burst damage. And I'm waiting for my teammates to rotate. My teammates do rotate. I see the Graves is fighting the Jax down on bot side. So I start this up, because if it does get low enough, I can easily outsmite anybody. So thankfully we're able to get that. And see, that's why I like Vi into Fizz. Like, their ult pretty much does nothing against you, and I'm able to pick that up, and now I actually ult the Jinx there. Maybe we can get the Fizz. Probably could have ulted the Fizz too, got neither one, but I just saw the ADC pretty out of position. And really on Vi, that's what you want to do, is you want to get onto the backline Squishies as fast as you can and to just land a first ability on him. If you can land your first ability on him, what that's going to do is it's pretty much going to knock him up and deal so much burst damage. So then what's the ADC going to do? Or the Squish here, Mage or whatever. They're going to use their flash. They're going to use their barriers and everything to get away. Then once they do that to get away, you could just ult again to gap close and get right back onto them. And by then, they have nothing left. And that's just a really good way to play Vi. So now, slowly starting to pick up kills. This Jinx is here, which I did not expect. Now I realize I'm kind of in a bad spot over here, so looking to run. But with Vi, your first ability, jump over a wall, and you will be good. So yeah, like, scenarios where I pick Vi is, like, into a Kha'Zix. Vi is my favorite champ to play into. Or into, like, a Zed Fizz if for some reason both of those end up on the same team. Vi is also super good. Pretty much Vi is immune to burst, and that's what makes him strong. Plus, they're really good at dealing with squishies, such as Fizz, Kha'Zix. So, that's just why I like to play him a lot. And honestly, if you pick Vi in the right circumstances, I think Vi can definitely be categorized as, like, S tier. Like, my win rate on Vi is probably close to, like, 70 to 75%. And that was, like, when I climbed up to Grandmaster and everything. So, it's definitely a solid choice in the right circumstances. But there's certain times when I definitely wouldn't pick him. I wouldn't pick him into a bunch of tanks and stuff because he doesn't have enough damage to, like, burst down tanks or anything. And really not the best. But your wave clear, if you didn't see there, your third ability plus an auto attack can clear waves so fast. So unfortunately, we do lose this mid lane here, and I'm just being a bit cautious. I still have my Guardian Angel up, so I do lose that, but able to pick up the kill there. Let's see if I can get this Graves too. Sadly, they dash away, and I lose sight of him, so just have to back up. Ooh, do I go down here? Nope, I barely live. Ooh, that was so close. That was all part of the bait. But trying to carry my team here. They're kind of going for some bad engages when we don't have the numbers and stuff, and that's going to be a bit of a problem sometimes. But let's see how I go for this engage. Do I use my first ability to engage? No, I do not. What do? I wait for them to use their dash, and then I go onto them. Say, look, in this case, I don't even have to waste flash or anything to get that. And able to pick that up. Whereas if I would have just ran in with my first ability right away, and then they dashed away, I would have nothing left to get back onto him, and I would have to flash to get onto him. And if I didn't have flash, I wouldn't be able to kill him at all. So you really have to keep in mind in scenarios like that. Or let me think of another example. So let's say you're up against a, what's a champ that has a good dash? We'll say a Lucian, because Lucian has a they have a dash. Instead of just running in and using your first ability onto the Lucian, instead what you want to do is you just want to run in, try and auto-attack him or whatever, see if you can get onto him. If you don't need your first ability to engage, you don't necessarily need to unless you want the damage. And in the late game, you probably want to hold on to it more because the value goes from damage in the early game to gap closing in the late game. And we'll see that over here. Notice again this phase. This time I'm doing it with my ult actually. So this is another pretty much variation of it you could do is I pretty much just use my first ability to get them a bit low, and then they use their third ability to dash away or to become untouchable, and then I use my ult. Really any variation, but you just have to pretty much simulate the fight in your mind before it even happens. So now we're looking for that Baron. That's not saying with the Lucian. Okay, let's say, for instance, you have your first ability and your ult up, like how I did against the Fizz. What you could do is engage with your first ability, and then once they dash away after you hit them, ult again to gap close, and then they'll have nothing left to get away. And I just think gap closing is such a key thing to learn as a jungler, especially when going for all these ganks and having to fight all these different kinds of champs. It's just so key to be able to gap close effectively. And you'll see that if you watch my champs, like when I play like Vi, Jin Zhao is another good example. I probably do this a lot in my Jin Zhao videos too. I definitely watch those. Definitely some in Wukong also. But now able to pick up the dragon here. Now we're looking for the fight. Kind of butcher that first ability. The Graves kind of just went flying. But I'm being a bit careful, and you can kind of see I'm looking for the ADC. And I'm able to force out both the ADC and the mid laner. And I just zoned both of them completely out of that fight. So that's like all of their damage. Or most of their damage. I wouldn't say all. The Graves is probably doing a bit more damage, actually. But now, I'm just keeping an eye for this. But something to keep in mind for Vi is to watch out for big crowd control abilities because those can screw you up. So for instance, getting Senna rooted in a bad spot can make you pretty much just get completely bursted down. And over there, I saw the Fizz use their dash ability. So now I'm actually looking to see if I can re-engage onto him. Able to get it onto him with the nice little first ability flash combo. Go back in with the ult, and they're able to just clean that up. Although I do get Senna ulted, or rooted. It's too late for anything. We have these empowered minions, and looks like we might be able to end here. Let's see if we're able to. And look at that burst damage. And I still have my Guardian Angel up. That is insane. I still have my Locket too. Something killed me there. I don't even know what it was. It must have been a minion. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did. Comment down below to support the channel, as it really does. And I'll see y'all in the next video.